So it's been rumored that Call of the Dead will be DLC 4. Now, at the time that I'm recording this video, it hasn't been confirmed yet. So if by the time this video goes up, there is already a trailer or something for this new Call of the Dead reimagining remaster, then keep in mind I haven't seen it yet. Or maybe it will never happen, and I'm just gonna look like a total idiot with this video. Regardless, it's supposedly coming very soon. Like, we must be getting a trailer within the next few days. And I've done this with a lot of maps that are potentially being remade and remastered, and gone in no clip to take a look at areas that could potentially be brought to life in a reimagining of Call of the Dead. So that's what we've done today. We are going to fly around in no clip. You guys are going to get a look at Call of the Dead in a way I don't think you guys have ever seen before. And then hopefully we can see what Treyarch might do to improve upon Call of the Dead. And like I said, I haven't seen anything from it yet, so if a trailer drops and I find out that I'm completely right or completely wrong, we'll have to wait and see. Regardless, it should still be fun. So let's give you a sense of just Call of the Dead as a map. Now, this is going to be a difficult video to film because there's so much fog. Thankfully, there isn't any fog at the moment, so hopefully I can give you guys just a sense of the entire map before the fog cues in. But so you have this big little mountain here. We don't ever do anything with this mountain, but I think it would be fun to explore. So if we started trekking through those mountains, I'll show you that in a minute. You have the lighthouse there, which is iconic. The ship over in the distance, you'll see the lighthouse pointing to the submarine. I'll show you guys that. So I've already gone ahead and completed the entire Easter egg. So you'll notice in this map, the VR11 is floating in place. The submarine is there. We'll be taking a look at that. I want to first start off, though, with this cave right here. So here we are in the caves that lead up to the lighthouse. Now, one thing we don't ever get to do is explore the mountain and the caves there. So Treyarch has already kind of established that you have these cave systems here. I think it would be real fun if we actually, maybe if we were playing Call of the Dead and they kind of broke it off. So think like in Blood of the Dead. Blood of the Dead originally, they opened up a whole different section of the map we were never able to play. Well, what if they opened up these ice caves for us to be able to explore, and then we would just continue to travel throughout this large and treacherous mountain? Like, imagine if we had to hike our way all the way up to the top of the mountain for whatever reason. Maybe there's some ancient Vril device up here or something that we need. I think that would be really cool. Now, another thought is that a lot of things are frozen in this map. You'll discover that as we continue to go through. What if we're here at a time in which the weather is warmer and things are less thawed out? So with the ice de-thawing, new paths up the mountain open up, and that's how we're able to explore our way up the mountain. Another thing we could explore over here is the lighthouse. Now, a potentially de-thawed lighthouse is interesting. We've already seen that they have reworked the lighthouse in Blackout, and perhaps this is where we go to Mob of the Dead at a time and in an alternate universe where things aren't as destroyed. So we enter the lighthouse. Where's the main entrance? I believe it's right here. So we can continue to work our way up to the top of the lighthouse, and then maybe these staircases aren't broken. We can continue to go up because there's a whole extra layer of the lighthouse we never get to explore, and there's multiple layers of it in Blackout. And for those curious what the top of the lighthouse looks like and where the zombie flies in the teleport, I was able to actually capture a clip of it in no clip if you want to see. It's interesting. It's just a little teleport effect, but there isn't much to it. That's all that really goes on. What I find more interesting is the underside of the lighthouse. Now, if you're curious, like I said, I did do the Easter egg, so I had the VR or the Vril device just kind of chilling right here, the golden rod that is hanging out right there. But you'll notice how the floor here is frozen. This lighthouse is actually supposed to go a lot lower. You'll notice below the water there's a lot of broken steps. It continues to go down, and imagine if this lighthouse went down for another 3 or 4 more layers. There is more to explore to it than just a bunch of frozen water. So if we were to come here at a time when things were warmer and things were de-thawed, think Call of the Dead in its heyday, that could be an interesting thing to explore. And again, maybe by going deeper into the lighthouse, we can connect with some of these tunnel systems that they establish here that then go into the mountain. I would love to see if we can go deep into the mountains. Remember, we had that old cipher about going deep into the frozen mountains. Well, what if this was actually when we went deep into the frozen mountains? Something like that I think could be really awesome. So I'm hoping Treyarch kind of expands on this lighthouse. One thing I really want to see is the top of the lighthouse more useful. You come up here, you have a few options. You have Deadshot Daiquiri, you have the zip line to take you down, and then you have a mystery box spawn, as well as a radio. But you can't even camp here or hold up, which would have been a sweet camping spot if you also had this zip line as your escape. Georgia, of course, ruins it, but maybe they can find a way around it. Now, if you want, while we're here at the lighthouse, so you'll notice at the top of the lighthouse, there really isn't much. So they have this light here. It's just a simple ball of light and a beacon that shines down over onto the submarine. Now, remember in GK when we had teleported off the map to go find that egg? Well, what if in this map we had teleported off of the map now to go into the submarine? So this submarine is very bare bones. It's only meant to be seen at a distance. There's nothing here. It's very basic textures. The only idea with the submarine is that maybe you can spot it from here, but you're not supposed to actually ever go near it. But what if this time we actually teleport into the submarine, and here we pick up some Group 9.3 plans, some Group 9.3 device, something like that. I think that would be really cool if they had a little brief section taking place within the submarine. Maybe we have to defend some zombies in the submarine, kind of like GK. I would love it if they pulled some GK cues and made us teleport out of the map, or took us to another section where we need to defend that and use the Group 935 submarine. I think that would be awesome. Now let's also look at the ship, which to me feels like the most underutilized part of this map. So you have this massive ship, and we all know a lot of it. So you have like the top layer here, and then it breaks off here. So you have this section here, and once you cross over, you can't really go back, and we see that with how it was broken. Well, what if we were here before the ship broke, when everything was in one piece and all the rooms had connected? So we still had these rooms right here, but maybe now we can go deeper into the ship. Perhaps we can go down here. Think kind of like Voyage of Despair. They pull a little bit of that, and now, you know, not only do you have a map now as big and expansive as a ship map like Voyage of Despair, but you also have out here with the mountains and the lighthouse. I think that would be pretty cool. You can go up in here. What I also think is too, so like, I think like rooms like right here where we could be able to come out here into this section of the ship. Like, why not allow it? Just open up some of these rooms, give us places to explore, turn the ship almost into a little bit of a maze, and then see how players survive that. Because the ship on here, it's pretty straightforward. You have your two halves, and you can't really go back and forth between the two. Once you're on one half and you jump over to the other, you're kind of stuck. So I think that would be really fun if they really wanted to get creative in terms of like verticality, allowing us to get onto some of the masses of the ship, and the cranes could be fun. Or even just getting some of these cranes to interact and move for the Easter egg would be pretty cool. Something like that would be interesting to work with. If you're curious about just like the actual generators too, so there should be one floating around out here. There's this guy here, and then we have more over here. I think there's one in the ship right here. I should know. I just blew it up like a minute ago. Let's see. Generator, where are you? There you are. Generator is right there. There should be another in the back of the lighthouse. This is also a section I forgot to mention over here. So if we were able to explore over here, maybe this ice cave leads to a different area, or maybe, like I said, everything's melted. So this is actually just water over here, and maybe you have to plunge into the water at one point. If they wanted, they could explore this lab over here. So you have these radios from Richthofen. I think, where's the radio? There it is. So you have this Richthofen radio here. What if that Richthofen radio was actually explaining something, and then we actually saw some of that work here? If like some Richthofen had, so think like in Classified when we were deep into the Pentagon, and we saw some of their papers from their active work. Well, what if we were here and we saw some of the active work that our characters were working on, people like Richthofen, that we hear described in these radios, but actually out here in the open? And then maybe perhaps go out onto these docks or something like that, throw a little box or an item or something to buy out there. I think that would be pretty interesting. You have this area over here. There isn't much going on. This is always kind of a weird little island area. I'm not really sure what they had to do here. If they wanted to expand it, they could. Honestly, quite frankly, I don't really care. That's the map as a whole, pretty much. You know, it's big, but it actually really isn't that big once you start flying around a no-clip. It definitely feels a lot smaller. There definitely is a room for Treyarch to expand. I would love it if they continue these network of zip lines. Like you have this one here that leads there. You have the one at the top of the ship that leads there. What if like 3 or 4 extra zip lines on this ship? That would be awesome. Maybe even going to expand on the verticality of the ship, allow us to maybe climb up to one of the masts, or just continue to climb perhaps over here. Like we can enter this room right here and then have a staircase that takes us up. Something like that. Either way, there is a lot of potential with Call of the Dead. I'm excited to see what Treyarch does for the remake. I hope this gave you guys a new and interesting perspective on Call of the Dead by flying around in no clip. If anything, if it turns out this is total nonsense and there never actually is a Call of the Dead remastered, at least now you can say that you've seen things like the submarine from Call of the Dead up close and personal. You also saw how the Easter egg ends with the zombie going into the tower as well as the goldenrod. So, if anything, hopefully this was just an interesting look at Call of the Dead. And, oh, you know what? I almost forgot. Let's save the most interesting part for last. So we have this door right here where, allegedly, our characters are trapped behind. Well, if we enter this room, we got nothing. It's just a blank concrete room. You actually have, I believe, a zombie spawn, literally. Yep. So you have a zombie spawn right here. There is nothing there. And right under the floor should be our crew. And nobody's home. You actually end up just quickly going down into the lighthouse. So, disappointment. Our crew's not really there. They're just playing sound files. This room is empty. But what if this room wasn't empty, though? What if they actually took advantage of this, made this a second part of the map? You know, it sounds like right now our characters are kind of trapped in that room, like it's a small box room. Perhaps this is a closet or maybe just a little lab. Maybe they could work with like that. So we enter this room and then we see a lab and there's some Group 935 stuff or some Soviet stuff. Who knows? That could be pretty interesting. Zombies, get out of my face. How dare you? I'm making a video right now. Either way, I don't actually want this room to be entirely expansive, but maybe just a small room. Throw a few scraps of paper in there, a few diagrams. Give us some storyline information that's always fun, that makes us start to theorize. And if they really wanted to get creative, they also could do something like throw a few characters behind that and kind of recreate that Call of the Dead feel where we knife the door and then we hear some old characters on the other side. Perhaps Danny Trejo, I've talked about that on Zombros. That would be a fan favorite to see return for this map. Anyway, that's going to be it for this exploration of Call of the Dead. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, maybe subscribe for more. I'm always covering zombies, so if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy the next one. Have a great day, and bye.